Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Agent Psycho, and aka Toast number 98, of course. And this episode of Symposium of Contemporary Criticism, we're going to be reviewing the anime called Clannad. It is an anime produced by Key. And for those guys who have watched my second episode of Symposium of Contemporary Criticism, you guys would know that Key also produced the anime that I reviewed in the second episode, which was Angel Beats. And why I say we is the fact that I have someone with me, my good friend and buddy that we used to know ever since elementary school, but things happened and then we got back together again in high school. Protaganist.
Hey guys, it's been a long while since I was on this channel, I guess.
First he was here for Comet Arms, and then now I brought him back again for anime. So, let's get started! Clannad!
So, do you want to explain it, or should I?
I'll explain like the general gist of it, and then you can pop in here and there if you so choose to. So, the general plot and the general story of Clannad is that, you know, Clannad is your... It's like a slice of life kind of anime. You've got your male protagonist by the name of Tomoya. What's his last name again?
I can't remember. It's been a while.
It's been too long, hasn't it?
I could only remember Otonashi. No, that's
Angel Beats, dude.
No. I could only remember the butt monkey.
What the fuck is wrong?
Very clearly.
With you?
Oh,
what the fuck is wrong with you? That's from Tomoya after, isn't it?
No, it's basically remember the guy that gets kicked around?
Oh yeah. Sunohara. Sunohara. We don't even need to know his first name because he's just a side character. But anyways, you got this guy named you got this main
Tomoya.
Yeah, Tomoya. That's his first name. That's all you basically need to know. Tomoya is like a high school delinquent. He is at the time of the beginning of the anime of Clannad. I think he's a senior in high school, right?
He's a senior.
Last year in high school, and he at the beginning of the anime he is a very nonchalant. People label him as a delinquent, but that's only because he doesn't really pay attention in school. He doesn't really care for the most part. But he basically meets this girl by the name of Furukawa Nagisa on, I think is it his first day at high school?
Well,
it can't be
the
his
first day that
right?
we see.
Yeah,
and he sees her at the bottom of the stairs with these cherry blossoms going around. But he asks her a question, and then they start going up the stairs together, or that's what I recall of it.
Yeah.
But that's how their story starts, technically.
And then the anime branches off to kind of explain the daily life, not just lives, but life more specifically of Tomoya, like what he does, his friends, namely the butt monkey, the blonde-haired accomplice delinquent by the name of Sunohara.
Who basically gets... You won't remember him unless you remember this guy getting beat up, or... Like, he'll be the butt of the joke at any given moment. I remember...
Tomoya is a very good extortionist, only when it comes to, when Sunohara is the bait. Let's put it that way.
Kind of like my relationship with Paul.
What? What?
Yes. But anyway, going on. I only read the visual novel of Clannad and watched several clips of the actual series, but from what I remember, wasn't the anime didn't have a really screwed up timeline?
Well, okay, so first of all, we need to explain this. Clannad, if you guys don't know, was originally a visual novel produced by Key, and then it was adapted into an anime version back in, when was it produced again? Like 2008? 2007?
No, I think it's 6.
Really?
I can't...
Because Canon 2006 came out then.
Oh wait, no. Then yeah, it should be 8.
It came around 2008, I think.
Yeah, I mean, it was later than the remake of Canon.
Well, yeah, duh. Yeah, it was, because Canon came out. The remake came out in 2006, because that's why it's called Canon 2006. The previous one was back in 2002.
Wait, was it? Oh yeah, it was 2002.
Yeah. So, anyways, Clannad was, for those of you guys who don't know, Clannad was originally a visual novel. If you guys don't know what a visual novel is, go Google it. We won't waste our time trying to explain what that is. So yeah, the thing is that Protaganist here has played technically the visual novel. So his experiences of Clannad will be slightly different, or in some cases much different from mine. I have watched both seasons of Clannad and Clannad After Story. So because obviously animes are a lot different from the original visual novels, he and I will have discrepancies when we try to overlap our experiences. So he will be showing you his visual novel, the visual novel side of Clannad, whereas I will be showing you the anime side of Clannad.
That is true. I'll also be talking about the sequel and
yeah, the
some other
sequel.
things.
If you guys don't know, of course, Clannad also has a sequel called Tomoe After.
Well, it's a side. Well, it's
Yeah,
more of a spin-off,
yeah, exactly.
which
It follows
focuses
one route. It follows one route of
Yes.
Tomoe of Clannad.
Tomoyo
Mhm.
and Tomoya getting together. But
And
that's much later.
it's also unlike the original Clannad. Tomoe After is an H visual novel, which means that there are sex scenes in it. Unlike
Yes.
Clannad, which was an all ages one, and Protagonist, of course, has his opinions on those.
Well, of course. If I recall correctly, there was also the after story OVAs.
Yeah, the After Story wasn't OVAs. It was an
No,
actual standalone
the,
season by itself.
The ones where it branches into different people.
Oh yeah.
Specific-
Yeah, those ones. Yeah, I remember watching those.
Yes. I have not had the chance to see them, but I only got to know Tomoyo very well.
Maybe if did you wait? So you played the entire visual novel, like all the routes, right?
Yeah,
Then I don't know if you might get. I don't know if you guys if you'll get angry at the OVAs where they explain like the different routes and stuff. They didn't do who's the bookworm? What's the name of the bookworm?
hang on. Damn it! All I remember is that she totally sucks ass with violin. It's a biological weapon.
It's worse than a nuclear weapon in terms of its status as a weapon of mass destruction.
Okay,
She
not that
will
bad.
she will make your ears bleed, and it has an effective radius of 3 miles.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's anime. What you expect?
Yeah.
But hang on. I'm getting the character list at some point. It's Kotomi.
Okay, yeah. Wait, Kotomi? Yeah, I remember now.
I remember that there was a hilarious scene in the anime where they have Kotomi and Kyo and her sister and Tomoyo come in when Tomoya is suspended, and they all cooked for him.
Oh yeah. You know you want the starfish. You know you want the starfish.
No, I don't. Oh my! Like I feel so bad for him. But, yeah.
Oh god. The one disadvantage where having a harem is rather disadvantageous.
Well, it's not really a harem. I don't know what to say. It's a good friendship, I guess.
How do you describe 5 girls, the 5 different girls might I add, all trying to cook for you and shove their food down his throat?
Let's see. Fuko is trolling you.
When she's not even trying,
Kotomi
which is the most annoying part.
Kotomi is just an airhead.
So she doesn't even know what she's doing.
Yeah, well, Kotomi is adding fuel to fire without
Right.
even knowing
Tomoyo
it.
genuinely cares.
And so the only 3 people that care would be Kyo and her sister and Tomoya. And those two Kyo and Tomoya have really they have
Yeah,
rivalships.
there's some
So-
rivalry going on.
So you get the point right there.
Yep.
Like, it's not really a harem though.
Yeah, it's not really a harm, but I mean, you kind of have the sense that they kind of are. You might get a sense, like, okay, fine, it's clear. It may be clear to some or to many that
I mean,
it's not a full blown.
It's not clear cut.
Yeah, it's not a
cookie-cut
full blown
harem.
harem, but I mean, if you got girls cooking for you, you got a good thing going. You know what I'm saying?
I'm pretty sure, but they're all kind of okay. I mean, like 2 of them are responsible for it, so yeah. No, Tomoyo is responsible for getting him suspended.
Yeah, and then the others, well.
They're just there.
Right.
But Fuko is just whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Starfish. Okay.
Starfish slam on butt monkey.
That part never gets old. But you get the point.
Mm-hmm.
Just that's what happens in Clannad. You get these funny little slice of life
Yeah.
moments that you truly get to enjoy. It. I want to say the parts that we missed, which were, so Clannad is the life of Tomoya,
Right.
and basically he gets together with Nagisa.
Mm-hmm.
But
That was basically the whole gist of it.
that's the gist. But he also hangs out with his other female
Right.
school counterparts.
Mm-hmm.
I know all of their experiences from the visual novels, so I could go much more in depth. But trying to stay with just the premise of Clannad, it also means family in Irish, and that's what Jun Medea actually intended. And
He originally thought that. Wait. Does it really mean family?
I don't think so.
I was
I'm
under
not
the
familiar with
impression that
Irish.
Jun Medea, I think that's his
But
name.
I mean, that's the whole theme of
Yeah,
Clannad,
he
though.
believed that Clannad
Yeah.
meant family in Irish or whatever language, and it kind of makes sense. I mean, clan, family.
Yeah, but
It's
basically,
sensible.
the story is about a family
Right.
and not about his actual feats in school.
Mhm. School is entirely irrational almost.
Well, I mean, if you look at the ending of After Story, it's kind of necessary. I guess.
Yeah, true. And after story at the very end, it.
Are we doing spoilers in this?
This
Okay,
spoilers,
this is
full
huge
spoilers.
Okay, so in After Story, Nagisa, or the premise of After Story is that Nagisa dies while giving birth to Tomoya and Nagisa's son.
Daughter.
Son or daughter? Okay, it's been
Daughter.
a while.
Uchiho.
They were never very specific on the gender.
What? Are you fucking kidding me?
Okay, do you remember the how she actually looks? You can't tell.
She might look androgynous, but they clearly say it's a daughter.
Okay, yeah, I can't remember it. It's been
Dude, don't the entire premise of Clannad, the girl in Tomoya's dreams. Hello.
Wasn't that Nagisa?
No, that was Uchiho. That was Uchiho when she was older.
Ushido. Okay.
It was Uchiho when she was older.
You know that
Except
Clannad
Tomoya
was...
never really understood that until the very end.
Okay, you know I didn't like Clannad because it didn't have H in it.
Okay, that's bullshit. I call bullshit on that.
Hey, I enjoyed Tomio after because it had H in it, but Clannad wasn't as enjoyable. After a point, it became.
Do you see what I have to deal with, people?
Okay,
Moving on.
I enjoyed the slice of life, but as a visual novel, it was just tedious at points.
Let me just reiterate. Let me just say this one last time. Protaganist feels very strongly about visual novels that do not have H in them.
Yeah, that's also why I haven't actually picked up
Quick side question: do you think that sex advances the plot?
In a lot of cases, they do. Or it doesn't have to be mandatory, but it's usually very nice. I mean, the best visual novels I've read were all intended for adults. Jisen no Mao, Fate Stay Night,
because
Tsukihime.
if it's intended for adults, you have a lot more freedom of what you can talk about.
I mean, it's just more darker and edgier too. But
Well, that's basically the overall encompassing thing about it. That you can talk
let's
about
also remember that my favorite character from Little Busters appears first in EX.
Yes, we know, Saya.
Yeah, so you get the point.
But anyways,
Usually, actually, that's also why I'll never I won't read rewrite for a long while. So we're straying off Clannad here, though. So, in After Story, Nagisa dies, and eventually Ushiro dies.
Uchiho.
And
No, Ushio. It's Ushio,
Ushio.
not Uchiho. What the?
yeah, it's what were you saying?
It's Ushio.
it's Ushio.
Ushio means. It means current.
Yeah, and so
Nagisa means beach.
yeah.
Yeah.
So at the end of After Story, I remember Ushio is supposed to die, and not long after, Tomoya is supposed to die as well.
Really? Because the anime did imply that. It only implied
It was
that.
implied in the visual novel.
Okay, in the visual novel. Okay, fine. What happened to him? Like, do
It's
we
kind of
know?
like he dies from like just being
Heartbreak?
so alone.
Okay.
But
Depression. Yeah, that's understandable.
the reason why the school aspect was there was so he could form bonds with people who will eventually help him get over it, and magically apparently save his family. That was one of the most unrealistic parts of Clannad I didn't like. But you know,
It's
do they have orbs in the anime?
yeah, they did.
Okay, yeah.
It's referenced during like it's seen in very critical moments of the anime. The two most visible moments that I know, or actually, there in each of Clannad's arcs. At the very end, when they're all resolved, you can see orbs floating up to the sky. Tomoya notes them. Like
Okay.
in After Story, it's very clear that
The
he
orbs are
notices
important.
them. Yeah, he
Okay.
notices them.
So
Like for example, in Clannad, the first season, Fuko, when her sister gets married in the school,
okay, yeah, I can see that one.
Fuko, the scene where was this in the visual novel where she goes up to her sister and congratulates her for getting
And
married.
then she disappears, right?
Yeah, and then she disappears. That
Yeah.
that's one of the scenes where the orbs appeared. Another
Okay.
one was when do you know the who's that girl? It was like Misa something.
The dorm lady.
What? No,
Dorm.
not the dorm lady. The other girl who served them tea and coffee in that one apparently abandoned place of the school.
Oh,
Do you know
hang
her?
on, hang on. I remember who she. I just remember
The
who she.
quiet girl, like Tomoya just accidentally stumbles upon her place.
Hang on. Um. Yukina? Yeah,
Or
Yukina.
someone like her, like Yukina. I'm
Yeah,
assuming that
it's Yukina.
yeah, Yukina. In After Story, I
Nah.
believe it's After Story. I'm pretty sure it's After Story that Yukina's arc was when the whole thing about her older brother and how he died. I forget exactly
I
what
can't
happened,
remember it.
but
it's Yukina, not
oh,
Na.
Yukina. Okay. Oh,
Nah,
Yukina. Never mind.
nah.
Okay. This wasn't in a visual novel.
I can't remember her. I can't remember her orb. Because
Okay.
in the
Because
visual novel.
what happened in the anime is that like apparently her older brother was a gang leader. But he
Well,
was
yeah,
kind of like a
so-
compassionate gang leader where he was trying to look out for his buddies and stuff, and especially after his younger sister. But he died because after like a fight, and when he was hospitalized, he died in the hospital, and they don't know, they hide the fact that he was dead until the very end because Yukine actually disguises herself as her older brother to kind of of course, I don't know exactly what happened, but she disguises herself as her older brother so that she can trick people into thinking that her older brother was still alive. That
Okay.
because by that point, like people already knew that he was hospitalized after being in some sort of fight, but no one knew he actually died. So,
Right.
um,
We
yeah.
get it. But
And
we're
after
straying
that-
from orbs here.
yeah, after that, they go visit his grave where he was buried and stuff, and that's where the orbs kind of
Right.
reappeared again.
Well, this is more apparent in the visual novel because for each of the characters that you see, like as soon as you resolve the problem, you're gonna get an orb. Probably the most difficult one would be like in After Story, like anyone After Story, which is your dad, Ushiro, and
Her
Tom-
dad?
yeah, or Nagisa's dad is, or
Okay.
Tomoya's
Yeah.
dad, and then Nagisa's dad, because you also have to like part of After Story is that you have to make up with Tomoya's dad.
Yeah, that happened in the anime too.
Yeah, so I mean, it all accumulated with him saving both Nagisa and Ushiro. So I don't know. It was all right, I guess. Like the story was it was beautiful in the sense that it really related to the necessity of a family, which, well, I don't know.
My take on the whole family thing is that I really like how Clannad, the original sense of family was distorted. that Tomoya wasn't, he had a family and all. He had his dad,
Well,
okay?
well,
But no, hear me
no,
out
no,
for a
no.
second. Hear me out for a second. He had his dad, but he didn't see that as his own family. However, as Clannad progresses, he develops his own family that doesn't particularly have to include his dad. It's a family of his friends that he likes to hang out with and spends his time with at school, outside school, whatever. But by the time After Story comes along, the traditional sense of family and the reason why this whole anime is called Clannad to begin with comes into play when he marries Nagisa, when they get together and they have a daughter, and then by the very end when the anime implies that they come back together all together. Yeah. That's the thing I like about Clannad's whole family take. It doesn't pertain to a traditional sense of blood relation family. And of course you can say this about most other animes where, you got a large network of people doing things together and stuff like that. But this Clannad is one of the animes where, it's very apparent that Tomoya is I guess not really willingly trying to make a family, but he does anyway.
Okay, so I get your point, but some discrepancies is that his family, or what he discovers about family, is mostly learned through Nagasa's family, because his own version of family is that he doesn't have a mother. His dad is the one that ruined his dreams of being a basketball player, which is why he can't use his left arm. It was his left arm, right?
Yeah, left arm.
Well, he can't use one of his arms, and because of that,
Actually, I think it might have been his right.
yeah, it could have been his right. But so what he decides is that he's not really he doesn't really have a family in the beginning anymore. And as it starts going on, and as he starts meeting, or primarily he gets influenced by Nagasa's family. Like he has his own school life where he doesn't learn much about family, but he starts getting closer in terms of like just interpersonal relations, which in some cases like Tomoyo, they become a kind of family. But it's mainly about Nagasa here, or what he forms that by After Story is he forms a family with Nagasa. They live together, try and have a kid, which then leads to Nagasa dying, and he has to live with the daughter, which
He doesn't do it. He doesn't live with her in actuality for like 5 years.
okay, yeah, he actually just leaves them with Nagasa's parents. But it's also kind of like the guilt that he feels that maybe she could have been like, what could he have done possibly to save Nagasa? And After Story is just him trying to make up the lost bond with him and Ushiro.
There's a later half of After Story.
And well, it's kind of for him to make up his bonds and finding out the past of her parent or Nagasa's parents as well. And after all of those have been resolved, he could finally get back to perhaps saving Nagasa and Ushiro, both. And that's where it ends with him just having a family. I I actually like the Tomoyo after ending.
Because of the fact that it has H, yes, we know.
Okay, no. The ending for Tomoyo after is quite honestly tragic.
Yeah, I read the manga for that, and did you read the manga?
Of course I did.
Would you say it's pretty accurate?
I mean, the only thing I remember of it was it portrays it correctly. What ends up happening is after a point where he has a fight, he ends up fighting for
Doesn't he
Tomoyo.
get hit by like a car or something?
No, he ends up fighting for Tomoyo, or instead of Tomoyo, and he ends up
Hospitalized, getting hit in the head,
getting in the
and
head, hospitalized.
he needs to.
And
Doesn't he undergo surgery, or is that the
Okay,
surgery?
let me explain it. He loses his memories consistently, that he can't remember who Tomoyo
Yo.
is. But she stays by him for about 5 years. And he finally decides, okay, I want to take this operation. And it turns out to be, to some degree, a success. But he only gets to remember her for about, a couple minutes. before he dies, and she's last seen well, she and her brother and his brother's girlfriend are last seen over his grave. Um, that was basically more tragic than well, it's as tragic as what happens in After
Honestly,
Story.
I think it is more tragic
But
because you know,
yeah, because in After Stories,
yeah,
everything's
after
right by the end.
story, after story, they all get together and that's all fine and dandy.
But
Tomoyo after, that's some
it's
fucking
just
depressing
that's
shit, like right
depressing
there.
right there.
That, you know, both but either way, Tomoyo's screwed. I mean, she got screwed anyway, but
Well, I mean,
both sides. After Tomoya got into got that accident or into that fight, and after his head got damaged, where he can't remember her straight or consistently, like she's either gotta deal with well,
I mean, she
of
deals
course,
with
this
it for
is
5
looking in
years.
hindsight. This is looking in hindsight. She's gotta either deal with him, you know, constantly forgetting who she is, constantly acting as, you know, like she knows him full well, but and she knows it's not his fault, but it's still really, really frustrating to constantly have to remind him who she is, who he is, because as far as I can tell, he didn't really know who he was himself, right? Like he lost basically everything.
No, it's just specifically he can't remember anything of senior year, which is when he met everyone.
Right. So
Or mostly
basically all
everyone.
the important stuff.
Between well, since this is Tomoyo after, he can't remember her at all.
Yeah. So
Which is
he can't remember her, which is the important thing because she's the main character or one of the main characters,
right.
and so she has to deal with constantly reminding him of who she is and what she's doing, trying to help him. Like she has to do
Right.
that. How many times? Like how often does he lose his memory? Like
I
every
can't.
day, every
No,
week.
I can't remember it, but I do remember that he just decides to get the surgery.
Yeah,
And
either she's got to deal with that, or she needs to, you know, accept, or she needs to settle with just a few minutes of being able to know, like being able to see him as
well, I
like
mean,
what like who he was before the accident when they both knew each other.
I
Like,
mean, what happened was, like, they didn't expect him. Well, they didn't expect the operation to be a success, but it was, but at the cost of his life.
I
So,
thought when I read the
it's-
manga, it felt like I had the sentiment that they knew that it wasn't he was going to get his memories back, but he wasn't going to survive for very long.
no, it was
That's what I remember
no,
from
it
the
was
manga.
the operation could be a failure completely or partially. We don't think it's gonna work
I don't remember like that.
because this is experimental. This is what I got from the visual novel, which was
Like it could be a success, but we don't know what's gonna happen.
it's very low chance of it being a success.
I don't know. When I read the manga, I got the sentiment that like we knew it was going to work, but we knew he's not gonna live for very long afterwards. I don't know.
No. I mean, that's basically what they told her at the end. Did it work? Yes, but he's not going to survive.
Okay,
long.
then that's a little bit more feasible then. Than what they told her at the very end, like, oh, it was a success, but he's only gonna live for a little bit longer, so you might as well spend
that's
your
all
time
that she
wisely.
told them at the end.
Right.
So what happens is,
So, anyways, we both agree that the ending for Tomoyo after
Is more tragic.
was yeah more tragic because there's
Well-
there's no happy way out. There's no bailout.
okay, but I'll take words straight from Gen Urobuchi. You know, the writer for Puella. Happy
No.
stories are unrealistic because they are happy.
Well, no shit. No shit.
So you get the idea. I mean, I still found the ending of Tomoyo after to be still beautiful because she's this like even though he's gone, she still decides that she's gonna live on despite that.
Yeah, instead of being all depressed and shit and committing suicide.
So in a sense, it's still beautiful. I mean, I don't think I'm gonna enjoy Cud Wafter as much if I ever decide to get around to that. If they ever translate it, that is.
Doesn't Kud fucking die in Kudwafter?
I don't know. I really don't know. I have no idea. I mean, it's
I mean, she's a princess, a Russo-Japanese princess.
no, she
So
no
there's
no.
always gonna be something bad
What?
that happens to people
There
like
was
them.
no mention of a princess in Little Busters. If I remember correctly, she was a daughter of a space launch or like astronaut of a small country which gets itself screwed over because a launch failed, and when she goes back, she gets screwed over.
Both
That's where
literally and figuratively.
something like that. So I can't. I think that's what happened, or I think that's her background. There was no mention of her being a princess, though.
Anyways, back to Clannad.
Okay, sure. We don't want to get sidetracked. It's a little westerns.
So, now that we've explained a little bit of the story and some things that we wanted to mention, what do you think is good? What would you recommend about Clannad? Like, what do you think is good that Clannad does well?
Well, what Clannad does well is that it has its own unique characters of a not really a harem. Like you could say it's a harem, but it's not really a harem. It's his just schoolmates, and
Like their personalities, like their character designs, basically.
I mean, you could clearly tell them apart. They have not much like, they don't all say, "Oh, we want to go," we want you. It's just we have our own problems. We're gonna keep it to ourselves until you actually pry into it, and we're gonna get it resolved. I think that was a very. I mean, that's what they did well, and you you get a or what key. What I love about Key is that they know how to get the reader or watcher like engrossed with like feel like they're Tomoya or Tomoya. Yeah, well, Tomoya, and
You mean
feel.
they make their characters very believable?
I guess, yeah. Even for Fuko, who I absolutely hate.
Starfish, 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 starfish.
Yeah, you get the point.
But you can't deny she's adorably hilarious.
Especially the part when she starts like whacking Sunohara on the face,
Yeah.
like, oh,
And Tomoya is inlaid genius at trolling him.
well, I personally like the 1,000 kick combo.
Combo. What was that thing? Like combo chain.
Okay, there were two versions of it: the visual novel version and the anime version. I know this one specifically. In the anime version, it's a 1,000 kick combo when after Tomoya kicks him back to Tomoyo. In the visual novel, Tomoya could kick him back to Tomoyo, who's in a bear costume, who will kick him about, I believe, 8 times each time. So after the first 8 kicks it to Tomoya, kicks it back, 8 kicks, sends it to someone else. I think it's Kyo, and she kicks him or hits him back with a dictionary.
And then the school principal walks along, and Tsunohara somehow kicks Tsunohara back at Tomoyo.
Okay, here's the last one, and he has like his old literature teacher, and his like, oh shit, his in that direction, and he just goes all kung fu on it.
It's like the most random person you would ever expect to know kung fu. Just all of a sudden jumps in the air, roundhouse kicks it, bam!
Well, something happens. Like
Yeah.
they never describe it. You just hear the noises, and then another 8 kicks, and you get a 64 kick combo. I still feel bad for Sunohara worse than the 1,000 kick combo for whatever reason.
In the anime, the anime implies that he got injured so bad they needed to censor him.
Oh right. I remember
Like,
this might be
one
also
does
quick.
not simply censor simple wounds.
Well, he would probably be a mind. He'd just be a piece of meat, but ground beef. Let's just say.
Basically 2 steps short of dead.
Well, this is anime. You could take.
And also in the anime, it does show a scene of Tomoyo in Tomoyo in the bear costume kicking Sunohara out of a window.
No, that was supposed to be the 64 kick combo. There, not the,
Okay, well, but it still showed Tomoyo in a bear costume kicking Sunohara out of a window.
Yeah, so there's that. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. This guy is not going to get around, or you aren't going to remember this guy for anything other than getting beat around.
Well, he does have. They do kind of go into his whole backstory and all.
Kind of. I mean, it's not one of my like. It's not something I enjoyed, but
But it was something at least. We know the
I mean,
guy.
I mean, it's just something I could see. It makes the relationship of why they hang out more believable,
More
I
relatable, you
guess.
mean?
Well, I mean,
Because they
it's
come from relatively same backgrounds, if you
well,
think about it a little bit.
well, if you boil it down, it's they both can't do sports anymore, or sports that they
Yeah,
like anymore.
general similarities. Yeah, they can't do sports anymore because of their own
But they're
debilitating
like
reasons.
the fundamental problem is different. In Tsunohara's case, it's like his own fault. In Tomoya's case, it's external factors, which was his dad. And actually, we never figured out what the dad actually does.
To him, the anime shows
No,
it.
no, no. I meant like the dad doing whatever job he has.
Oh right.
Right.
The anime didn't show what he did as an occupation. He just apparently he just lounged around at his house all day, drinking beer and watching TV unless he needs to go to work.
Which they never specify. So
Yeah. They
there's
didn't
that.
specify it for the visual novel either.
I can't. Like I remember, like there were some thugs around his house, but I can't remember what he exactly did. So you get the point. It's not that dad's just really shady. Well, whatever.
Shady, huh?
It gets better, I guess, by the end.
Like when they talk about what happened to Tomoya, yeah, sure the dad seemed like a bitch, but to me he wasn't as shady as he just seemed kind of like a pathetic person. I'm not saying that in
Yeah.
a condescending way, but I'm saying pathetic in the
Yes,
sense
yes,
that
know.
he just okay, you might know, but some of our viewers might not. Like I'm saying pathetic in the sense that he's kind of you might feel sorry for him.
Yeah, well, I think he hasn't really been the same since his wife died or something like that.
And the fact that he's well aware of is he does I'm pretty sure, like, to me the anime showed that he's pretty aware of the fact that he's the reason why Tomoya can't play basketball like he used to. Did the
He
visual novel explain that?
Is like, well, he changes completely.
Yeah,
after.
he changes in the anime. It shows him like change completely. I think Tomoya mentions that after the incident where Tomoya disabled or his dad, I think, dislocated his shoulder or injured his shoulder. He's aware that he changed completely.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of it is he started calling him Tomoyo-kun, which
Yeah,
is
which is
very odd for a family relationship.
apparently.
Which because you'll be more likely to call them, with just their
Yeah.
straight out name.
No
Not-
honor, no kind
no
of
honorific.
suffix or no suffixes or whatever.
Yeah. So there's that. So
Like, let's talk about that actually. Why his dad decided to put that gun at the end? Like, do you
Well,
think? Like, to
he's
me,
feeling like he put distance between him and Tomoya, or yeah, Tomoya,
right? But we
which-
gotta.
is in part by his guilt that he broke his arm, and the other half is like since the mother isn't around anymore, like
Mm-hmm.
due to whatever reason. Who
We'll assume that
knows?
she died in some accident or something, or an illness or whatever.
I can't recall it if they ever mentioned
I don't think they ever mentioned it. We just know that his mom is either dead or.
Or
I'm pretty
missing.
sure they mentioned she was dead.
So it's just a way of distancing himself from, and they're kind of going off in their separate paths at that point.
Like, but do you think that like his dad is trying to push Tomoya away from him, or do you think that it's his way of punishing himself for what he's done to him?
I mean, it could go both ways. We're never going to be sure of it unless we
True.
unless we ask John Medeo, which is the chances of that happening is so low.
And he might not even want to answer and just leave that to our own opinions.
I mean, it's Clannad's an old work. I mean,
True.
I think we're just getting more. I think I have more questions about Lil Busters than I do have Clannad.
Okay, well, you can leave that for later.
Hey, one of it would be what is the true ending of Lil Busters?
God damn it, there is no ending.
Yes. Okay. I mean, like, are they in the real world or did they remake a world that is more stable? That's my question. And he specifically left that blank. And that question's killing me.
Well,
But
if he
anyway,
specifically left that blank, then he's obviously just letting us. Well, I can't say obviously, but to me, it seems like he just wants the viewers to form their own opinions on. Anyways, that's completely off tangent.
we'll do that. We'll save that for a later time.
Right.
So, moving on. Yeah, it could go either way. I'd have to actually, if you want, I could go back and specifically analyze it, but I have
To
no
me,
intention
to me, even if you did, it'd be still really hard to like
It's
find
very
an answer to
it's
that.
it's very opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Like we will need to know more about like their coming days after that accident in order to kind of finalize our hypotheses about that. But I guess for now, that's one of the questions that is rather subjective from person to person.
actually, another good question I have personally, and this is one that we cannot research, is how do you fuck up bread?
Okay, that's not a very serious question, by the way.
But it's a good question.
Okay, we know it kills people, but no, just no. You can screw up a lot of things, okay? Even bread.
I find that very hard to believe.
Hey,
I
your
mean,
school fucks up fucking pizza. Or no, did they fuck up pizza? What did they
They
fuck
can't-
up?
They fuck up everything.
Okay, well, there you go. Did they fuck up bread too while they're at it?
No, they can't fuck up bread.
What, is it because they don't even serve bread there?
No, they serve bread. They just can't fuck it up. Literally.
Well, as I say, best thing since sliced bread. I don't, but what kind of question is that?
Because didn't she at one point put out rainbow bread?
Yes, and it made people fucking trip acid for like 30 minutes.
Yeah, you see.
It was at the end of Yukine's route or arc
Yes.
in After Story where I think Fuko just randomly shows up to give everyone the rainbow bread. Oh no, it wasn't Fuko, it was Nagisa. It was Nagisa who came along and said, "Hey guys, I got some bread that my mom brought us." Of course, she didn't say it in that voice. It makes her sound like a bitch, but
Yeah.
she brings bread that
get
her
it.
mom made, and it's rainbow bread. Everyone, no, like, Tomoe's like, no, don't eat it! Everybody just knocks out and starts tripping acid for like 30 minutes. Like, what?
Yes, so you get the idea. Like, they run a bakery, and how does this happen? So, not a serious question. Let's move on. Paul, any others you have?
Any other what?
Any other questions?
Let's see. Wait, hold on. So, did you watch the first season of Clannad?
No, I had to watch just a short.
Okay,
like,
then
snippets.
are you familiar with Kotome's route?
Yeah, of course.
Like everything that happened. I want to talk about Kotome's route a little bit.
Okay.
Like, what's your take on that? Like, is it like? Actually, after we talk about Kotome's route, I want to ask you like what you think the other than Tomoyo after. Okay, let's leave Tomoyo after out of this, and Tomoyo's entire route out of this because Tomoyo after is basically her own entire arc.
Yes.
Other than hers, like, which one do you think is the next best? So first of all, what did you think of Kotome's route in particular?
So Kotomi's route was it basically explains why she's left alone, even though she's a genius, and it also explains some of his backstory with her. If I had an opinion on it, it was alright. I mean, there was just so much stuff that we need to shift through of her backstory,
Yeah, I know, right?
and I didn't find it very gratifying to get through her route. It might have been just me, but I did not like it. Well, this was at the point where everything in Clannad just became strenuous to get through because you had to collect the orbs, save whatever.
Mhm.
Had to get a walkthrough and everything, and there's no fun mini games in Clannad like Dungeons and Takafumis. So
I still don't understand the point of that game.
okay, I'll explain it after.
No, you don't. Please don't.
Okay. Well, anyway, so moving on to your first question. I didn't very much find it gratifying.
But okay, so okay, I get the fact that by that point, when you're playing the visual novel, you know,
Okay,
it was
what I felt of this was you get hit with kotome, or you get hit with this girl, and she's just like, "Oh, hi," and then you're like, "Oh wait, she's my childhood friend," and if I remember correctly, and from what she tells me slash I find out, is she had all this crap happen, some things about her dad's research, blah 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 blah, parents are dead, etc. And she's my childhood friend. That's the only thing I got from that. Is there anything I missed?
not really, except for that creepy guy in the trench coat who turns out not to be really creepy at all.
Okay, but yeah, see, and not to mention my memory's starting to get fragmented on Clannad. So that's what I recall. And then, what was your second question again?
My second question was after Tomoyo
Oh, after
route,
Tomoe,
you know, which
yeah.
one was the next best arc?
I guess other than Nagisa, which is kind of a given,
Well,
'cause that's the next most
that's the true route, so to speak.
exactly. It would have to be Kyo.
I can see why.
I
Because if the OVA is true to the visual novels then I can relate.
I mean, I loved her character was great. Throwing
Because
dictionary
who uses a dictionary as a projectile weapon?
at plus 500 meters into Sunohara's face, something like that. So you get the idea. She's my favorite character after that. To be honest, I didn't really like any of the other characters' routes, especially Fuko, which I thought was horrible. Especially what happens after. It's like, you come back from the hospital, you're fine now. So what was the whole point of you turning into Ghost? Like, you could have just been yourself, and you could have done this. That's what I got from Fuka's route. She did
Well,
not
you
have to be a
see,
ghost.
for different people, it's not as easy as get over it. So,
Okay, I mean, she didn't have to be a ghost to hand out invitations to her sister's wedding, you know? Okay, or like spiritual, like, projection. That's more accurate in this case. She didn't have to do that. I mean, it's still touching, I guess. But, yeah. So, my favorite route after Nagisa, Tomoyo, Nagisa, and then it'd be Kyo.
why then?
Well, it's kind of what you see at the ending is, or her route was, instead of getting together with Kyo, you actually get together with her sister, which I can't exactly remember the
Real.
name of.
Real.
Yeah, I thought it was real. And what she realizes by the end is, it like, what they realize is Real doesn't like Tomoya as much as Kyo does, and she takes him at like basically at the end. And it's kind of like, just to make her realize it was, I guess, a journey worth seeing.
Elaborate.
What was the exact details of it? Hang on. So most of the story was her, whatchamacallit, so most of the story was going to be her sister trying to get together with Tomoya. And part of it was, she keeps getting these signs, like, not when she's playing, or like, taking fortunes from regular cards, but when she uses tarot cards, they're uncannily accurate. And it's kind of it was interesting seeing the conflict between the two sisters, and
Like, you wouldn't know how they would resolve it.
I mean, you can't tell at some point, or yeah, it's like very ambiguous how it's gonna be until the very end, in which she does.
Like, she pulls a good one on
Yeah, it was
Tomoya in
great.
order to get him to say what he needed to say. She
was
pulls a good one.
Yeah, basically what happened. Not to mention, I think half the routes were actually supposed to be guys. Or no, not half, like 3/4. I know 3/4 of the orbs come from guys. And I remember that Kyo ends up with another one of them. And well, in terms of individual routes, like that's probably the one that stands out the most, like after, I guess. Especially when you get a bad end for if you don't pick kill or roll or kill, which was I found very odd.
What happens?
Like you get together with roll and then you don't get an orb. I'm just like, what?
Well, apparently that's not supposed to happen.
Yeah, apparently. So, yeah, that's my next favorite arc, I guess.
Because it actually leaves you hanging until the very end.
Yeah, the suspense was good.
You wouldn't really call it suspense, but hey.
Okay, yeah. Oh, if you know what like to expect, yeah, the suspense was good. Okay, so there's that. I really don't have any serious questions about Clannad, primarily because Little Busters just generated so much more crap.
God damn it.
I'm being honest here. So.
Wait for me to finish that first, and then we'll talk about all crap about it, okay?
Well, you know about the secret of the world, but still.
Yeah, I already do, but it's not gonna stop me from not watching that eventually.
Okay, so yeah, that's my thoughts on Clannad, specifically in those routes.
So, then, would you recommend Clannad, the visual novel, not the anime, but the visual novel, to people? If assuming they had the time to grind through and play through the entire thing and complete it.
Okay, so between the visual novel and the anime does not give you chronology, which is I don't know how you guys like that or not.
Like, didn't you tell me before that Clannad, you thought that Clannad tried to fit all the arcs into one season? Or into,
I'm
the
looking at a
anime?
timeline and it's pretty wonky.
Yeah. Well,
So,
the thing
I'm
is
not
that
gonna go there.
the thing is that most animes, Clannad is, of course, this is just my take on it, but Clannad is no exception when it comes to the fact that animes when they're derived from visual novels and like
Yeah,
there's
there's
multiple
deviation.
arcs, like Clannad kind of is no exception when when they try to fit all the arcs into the entire anime.
I mean, you have to cut something out. That's the
Yeah,
thing about the
you
anime.
need to, in order to make it good, especially from visual novels that have multiple routes, you either need to, you're kind of echoing in the back.
Oh, sorry.
You need to either cut out some things, like you said, so that it only focuses on like a couple routes and it does it well, and it portrays it accurately as a visual novel intended it to be, or you need to, if you are planning on doing everything, you need to make it so that it makes sense. In Clannad, I can definitely see where you say that it doesn't make chronological sense, because
Yeah.
how can they do that all in one season? Like, I can understand that. Like,
Yeah, I
how do
get
they do that? Of course.
Just go
Like,
watch Yosuka no Sora for that. That was beautifully done, I must say. But that's how that story was structured. But moving on, I'm trying to answer your question of why would I suggest visual novel or anime. The anime is specifically shorter, so those of you guys that don't have the patience, it's much better.
like,
That
would you
guys
think that,
watch the
like,
anime.
leaving out the whole, like, chronological imbalance thing, leaving that aside, do you think that the anime portrays the visual novel faithfully and accurately? To a point where you can say that, it's a pretty accurate representation of the visual novel?
It's pretty accurate for what it's intended, which is Nagasa's route by the end
Right.
and after story. I could admit to that. And yeah, if you just want a clear-cut path, that's the way you're gonna take. And I know a lot of people don't like reading, so I'm guessing visual novel is probably gonna be out of the question. But if you want to get more,
If you want to appreciate the full extent of Clannad, if you watch the anime and you, for whatever reason you want to see more of Clannad, try to get the visual novel. I believe there are downloads available online.
there are
full with
downloads.
English patch.
No, but there's no true full English patch. It's in pieces, everywhere, and you're gonna have. I had to piece it together myself.
Protaganist is our
Technical.
expert visual novel hunter. He's been doing this for years. He's a veteran.
Yes. Even though I wasn't supposed to, and I turned 18 only last year. Cough, cough.
Who the hell cares?
Age restrictions. We can't be held liable.
And neither will we when we try and care about those, because we don't give a fuck.
Okay, true enough. So, if you want to get more in depth with it and enjoy maybe a separate take on whatever happens in the story, then the visual novel is great. It's kind of like, well, to be honest, I'm more interested right now than Clannad in air. Potato,
Visual
potato.
novel for...
Even the anime, potato, potato.
Oh god, now you made me remember that.
That dog. UMA, dude. UMA. Okay. So, that's what I think of Clannad. Both visual novel and anime. If you want the full story, or
Visual novel. Yeah.
everything of the story,
In a
visual-
way that makes chronological sense, yes, definitely visual novel. You just need to kind of either you're going well, in the end you're gonna have to get it yourself. We're not gonna tell you how.
Right. This is we don't. Okay. Yeah. We don't. We're not specifically supporting piracy. We're specifically.
You're gonna have to find it yourself.
Right. I don't think we're allowed to give links for anything anymore, right? On YouTube.
I mean, probably not.
So
I mean,
yeah, no bueno, no bueno. So,
but if you are not interested in reading visual novel or dedicating your time to reading visual novels or finding it to begin with, getting all the patches for it, goddamn. And if you just want to sit back and enjoy an anime, like a good slice of life slash sort of supernaturalist, because it does have a sort of supernatural tendency to it, but it's mostly a slice of life and family-based anime. If you want a good one of those with a good mix of humor, there's a little bit of action in it as well. Not a lot, because that's not Clannad's main focus, but that if you want a good mix of humor, a little bit of action here and there, and just overall just general slice of life, then Clannad is an excellent one.
it is.
That's just my take on it. Hey, by the way,
Yeah,
we can hear your breath
For a
is.
second.
Alright.
Have to go to the restroom. Have to carry it. But
Okay.
So yeah. Give me a sec.
Alright.
Rant about anything.
Anyways, for these guys who are wondering what the hell's up with the Protaganist's sound quality, apparently he's in the middle of a hotel, and he was talking to me in the hotel lobby. I know what's going on, but we don't need to tell you that now, do we? So apparently he's going to the restroom, so please excuse him. Anyways, those are our thoughts on Clannad. I don't know if he's going to be able to talk anytime soon, so just let me go on my own spiel about Clannad for a little bit. Clannad is an excellent anime. Like I mentioned before in my Angel Beats episode of Symposium Contemporary Criticism, Clannad is one of the very few animes that actually made me cry. Specifically in Fuko's route. I don't know. Well, actually, I can kind of see why I did, but especially in Fuko's route, that's when I did. But if you want, basically, to sum it up, if you want to watch an anime with,
Okay. It will make grown men cry. How about that?
right, that's a good way to put it. It will make grown men cry, and I saw a comment on YouTube, I think a couple years back, when I was searching up Clannad videos, like the OSTs, and when I was searching up the OSTs and stuff. In the words of a fellow YouTuber, if you do not cry, your heart is made of steel.
I did not cry.
Fuck you.
I'm sorry. I've seen better tragedies.
Yeah, of course. Clannad, tragically, it's the kind of tragicness that you feel like, oh,
Like you see, like you feel it because
yeah, it's
it's
realistic.
like
Yeah,
you can relate it to a family.
it's a
kind of.
family loss kind of thing. Of course, obviously, in our tier of tragedy, that's not very high because
Yes.
family tragedy is relatable. It's believable. Like we've all lost family here and there, so we know the pain of it. So that's why, to us anyway, it doesn't feel that bad.
Well,
Well, me personally, that's how I
it's
look
you
at it.
personally. For me, it's just the epicness is not enough.
Okay, okay, you inconsiderate little bitch.
Okay, do you realize I think the last two visual novels that made me cry. Okay, three. Was
Oh, let me guess. One of them was, was it? What was it again? Mulov.
That's given. Just because of how much he had to suffer just for a slice of happiness, which he loses almost immediately.
It was worth it. Probably not, though.
No, not worth it. Do you realize that he even lost even more?
Because of that, yeah.
Because of that.
Well, even though I have virtually no knowledge of Mulov, yeah, I know that.
Okay, so
Your
that's one.
shirt is enough to convince me of that, sir.
Yes, it
Your
shows,
sense of tragedy is invalid. So shut the fuck up.
It says your sense of drama is invalid.
Okay, fine.
Moving
whatever.
on.
Whatever. They're basically the same thing.
The other one is Narakisu, which is
I have no idea what that is. So.
it's about terminally ill patients and what they
Oh,
find.
what about what was that one visual novel you gave me? It was about terminally ill patients as well, but
yeah,
it was about
that's
that.
Narakisu.
Hmm?
It's
Yeah,
that's Narakisu.
Narcissu or Narcissu, whatever
Yeah.
you want to call it. What was that? Like, did that
Okay,
one make you cry?
so there's a pair of terminally ill patients, and they
No,
live by
I read through that, so I know what happened.
yeah. So they basically live by separate rules than what you think of society, and it was their journey that they have no purpose of, and how they get there. I mean, you kind of expect them to like die by the end, and just how they
And they
take it,
do.
like just how they took it was beautiful. That brought tears to my eyes. It's kind of the acceptance of death kind of thing, especially for
How the
girl.
hell did we go from talking about the tragedy of Clannad to talking about Narcissu?
Because I was explaining what three last visual novels.
You
made
can
me
explain
cry.
that in another episode, by the way.
But let me just say the last one was Jisendo no Mao. The ending was fucking amazing. Not as amazing as Mulov, but still amazing. That brought tears to my eyes.
Are we done about talking about which ones brought tears to your eyes, sir?
Yes.
Okay, so in order to wrap this up, because I don't know how long we've been talking for. Do you know?
Close to about, I want to say,
An hour.
an hour.
Alright, an hour sounds about good. Because our Skype call is about 1 hour and 22 minutes, so it's about an hour. It's a good place to wrap this up. So any last words? Any last comments about Clannad?
We're really looking forward to the next work that Key puts out.
That's not about Clannad, you idiot!
Yeah, it is. Key
We
made
know
it-
you want to talk about other things, but please talk about Clannad for this
Okay.
video.
I mean, I'm saying we're gonna look forward to the next Key work.
Well, that's a given, but okay, because clearly you can't say it. Guys, Clannad is an excellent anime. You may shed a few tears, but if you have a heart of steel, then you will not, because its sense of tragedy is a family kind of tragedy. And if you can deal with that well, then you will be able to watch Clannad without any, tears coming out of your eyes. But if you are a light-hearted person who is easily affected by tragedy and will cry easily, then expect to shed a few tears. If
or
you don't,
just don't watch After Story.
yeah, that too. Oh no, some of the arcs in the original Clannad season are pretty depressing too.
Okay, it's not
Not
as
gonna lie.
depressing as After Story though.
Okay, but
It's tolerable.
I cried at Fuko's scene, at Fuko's disappearance, than I did at Nagisa's death. Okay, my
okay.
brain is kind of weird like that.
Yes, we know, Paul. We know.
Of
Well,
course you know.
yes, I had to deal with you for about like several weeks in winter break. So,
Deal
okay,
with
we
it.
get the point.
What the hell is this? Anyways, so yes, like I said, oh yeah, but you don't have any last words because you're gonna talk about something else.
I was just
So,
gonna say we're gonna look forward to the next key work.
Key, make your bet more, put out your works faster, bro, or bros and broskies.
Well, we still have to
Whatever.
get through rewrite, but
Well, yeah,
whatever
but
Key
it's
puts
not like
out,
you're
we're
going to
looking
get.
forward to.
Do we know what their next work is in terms of visual novels?
They just put out Festa. Let me.
The hell is Festa? Is that doesn't sound like a visual novel though?
I meant they put out rewrite Harvest Festa.
Is that an H one?
No,
God damn it!
which I'm surprised by.
Yeah, I know because usually their sequels are always gonna be, or their trend has been that the
Okay, their recent trend after Lil Buster, or
Yeah.
their Lil Busters was they put out Lil Busters and then EX and then
Mhm.
ME.
yeah. Canon and Air were straight up H visual novels.
Yeah, it was straight out H visual novels, but hang on. No, they haven't released anything after Harvest Festa.
Yeah. Do we
Um,
know if they're working on? Have they announced if they've worked on any particular project or something?
I mean, Harvest Festa was the last thing that we were told.
And how recent was that?
That was last. That was like basically last year. Last year,
Damn.
this year.
They must be
I
working
think-
on something. If they haven't released any official news for like a year, they must be working
They're
on something.
apparently putting Cub Wafter onto Blu-ray and a all-ages version of Cub Wafter for the PSP.
Boring.
So we get the idea. But whatever next.
They gotta be
news-
working on something. I'm
Okay, whatever
convinced.
next news story that they come out with, we're looking forward to.
Right, and hopefully it's an actual H one.
Hopefully, chances of that
Hopefully.
happening are pretty low. I think
Yeah,
Type
that's
Moon's
true.
also following this path. So
So, with Mao Tsukai no Yoru. By the way, have they
they're remaking.
translated that?
They're translating it right now, but they put out news. They're remaking Tsukihime.
Yeah, well that too. Wait, is the remake of Tsukihime gonna be H as well?
I'm not sure. I hope it is.
They
pray
better, dude. They better. They fucking
I
better, dude.
pray.
I know, right? Tsukihime with the updated graphic style. Oh my god, that's gonna be an a visual orgasm in itself.
I mean, I love the story, but
Plus Sachinra. Who can forget Sachin, right?
oh, she's actually gonna get a route.
I know, that's what I'm talking about.
Isn't it sad, Sachin? We can't see
Yeah,
that
I
joke
know.
anymore. But we're getting way off tangent here, so
Yeah.
let's end it,
Anyways, yep.
and we'll talk about these kind of things.
So final recommendation: do you recommend either watching / reading the visual novel or anime of Clannad?
Of course, it's I want to say it's a landmark anime as well. Well, not really landmark, but it's
But
very
it's definitely exceptional.
exceptional, I guess.
Right. Anyways, I'd have to agree with Protaganist as well. Clannad is one of the better, if not best, animes that I have watched in my rather short anime history. So yeah, in order to wrap this up, thank you guys for watching, however long this video is, and once again, our special guest for today has been Protaganist, my friend from elementary
Hopefully,
school,
I'll be back
mainly,
for more
yeah.
whatnot.
We're planning to have him on, or I'm planning to have him on for a lot more of these reviews. As I catch up with recent anime, and we can kind of talk about similar animes with each other. Again, his appearance may not be consistent because maybe I might feel like doing my own anime reviews on my own. But do keep in mind that he will most likely be a frequent guest on this series. So I'd like to thank you all for watching, and Protagonist, if you would like to say your goodbye.
Alright, guys, it's been a good times. Hope to see you guys in future videos, and maybe, just maybe, we might convert Paul into League of Legends. See ya.
I don't have a problem with that. It's just that most of my time is already devoted to other things. But I'll try. So, that being said, thank you guys very much for watching for the third time, and we'll see you guys later. Say bye. You didn't say